After 4 years in the Leadership and International Relations program, I thought defining my vision of leadership would be simple. I started from the beginning. I thought about all of the people who are considered great leaders. John F. Kennedy, Steve Jobs, and Mother Teresa immediately came to mind. John F. Kennedy was an incredible leader. He was very charismatic and he surrounded himself with intelligent people. It was because of Kennedy that our nation made it through the Cuban Missile Crisis unscathed. Steve Jobs was a true visionary, and while he was not very charismatic, he still changed the world. Jobs was both innovative and creative. Mother Teresa was as selfless as they come. She dedicated her entire life to helping others. But even after thinking about all these fantastic leaders, I was still at a dead end. Great leaders can encompass so many different characteristics. JFK, Steve Jobs, and Mother Teresa were all fantastic leaders, but they were incredibly different. I was still struggling to find that one unique characteristic that all leaders have. So I decided to think about the great leaders that I know personally, the leaders that I have followed. What do all of these teachers, coaches, and students have in common? What made me trust in the message that they were trying to get across? When I first started in the leadership program, I thought a leader was someone who stood out in a crowd. I thought leaders never made mistakes, and they were always incredibly powerful. But after really thinking about it, I could not have been more far off. The leaders I followed do not lead from a distance. They are involved, and they are not afraid to get their hands dirty. They take the time to get to know their followers, and they understand that not everyone learns the same. They adapt to their followers. There is a popular saying, "You are defined in life by the way you respond to defeat." But I only think this is partially correct. Great leaders are not only defined by the way they respond to defeat, but they are defined by the way they respond to their followers' defeat. Failure is part of life. Strong leaders do not use obstacles as an excuse to quit. They use failures as motivation. Leaders are responsible for other people's performance. It is simply part of their job description. The leaders who are truly successful do not berate their followers for making mistakes. Because let's be honest, no one sets out to fail. Leaders understand that mistakes happen, and when they do, we have no other choice but to press on. They encourage their followers to keep working hard. When failure happens, they do not make their people feel small or obsolete. See, it's not that leaders do not fail. They just respond to failure very well. They persevere through all obstacles and never give up. So there it is. The one characteristic that all great leaders encompass is determination. Let's go back to our examples of John F. Kennedy, Steve Jobs, and Mother Teresa. JFK was faced with some pretty difficult problems. Think about where our country would have been if someone else was in charge, or if he had just given up. Steve Jobs created Apple. Although he was brilliant, you don't just create Apple without a lot of hard work. If Steve Jobs had stopped every time he hit a roadblock, we probably wouldn't have Macs or iPhones today. Mother Teresa's story is arguably the most impressive. She dedicated her life to helping the poor. Every time she helped one child, there was another child waiting in line who still needed help. She was not frightened by the size of her goal. She was persistent, and every day she woke up and continued to work hard. See, leaders aren't perfect. They fail every day, but they press on. They have big goals, and they wake up each day with a plan to achieve these goals. When they are thrown a curveball, they do not give up. They reevaluate and they figure out a new way to succeed.